Daisy Rain Martin. I'm the author of Juxtaposed, Finding Sanctuary on the Outside. I also wrote a little ebook called If It's Happened to You, and I'm coming out with my third book, Hope Givers. You will never believe where I am. I am back in Las Vegas, Nevada at Trinity Life Center with one of the characters from Juxtaposed, Randy Greer. And by the word character, I mean that in every sense of the word imaginable. So one of the things that I wanted to do today was introduce Randy because he's made such a big impact in my life and a lot of people's lives, just for being full of hope and being a guy that's real and authentic, which I speak about a lot when I speak to churches. One of the interesting things, Randy, that I wanted to come and tell you, because you will think that this is so ironic. When I wrote Juxtaposed, I did not write it for the church.
I know that, honey. I tell you that.
I did. I wrote it for a secular audience. I never imagined that I would be so well received by conservative Christian people.
That shocks me.
Because
I've read your book.
I know, and you know what? I have never spoken in a community center. I've never spoken in like an interfaith center or a community. I've only ever spoken in churches, and I mean, I remember even praying about this and saying, you know.
I remember cautioning you. Please be careful with your language.
Please be a lady, please.
And all that. But, you know, your angst had to come through. And
I wanted to, yeah.
I'm excited that people are accepting that. That gives me a lot of hope for the church.
Well, yes, and I think that the...
She used some F-bombs in the book there, people.
I did too. I think that people really embrace me because the story is really rough.
Yeah.
And they just see the way that I confessed without without a filter. I didn't edit my confessions for content and tone. I just laid it out how it happened, and just the authenticity of that has been so well received by the church.
Everybody that knows you kind of knows that's how you roll.
My pastor now, Jim Halbert, up in Idaho, Crossroads Community Church, he says, Daisy, you know, I hate the F word. I've just never seen it used so well. And I'm not trying to be that. I'm not trying to. It's not like for shock value.
Right.
It's just what happened.
Yeah.
And it's just how I dealt with it. So people often ask me, was writing Juxtaposed cathartic for you? And I say no. I had everything that I wanted to. I had all of my healing, all of my redemption, all of my restoration, all of that before I even started the book.
Wow.
You know what's cathartic? Hope givers.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to come and talk to you about today, because one of the big themes in Hope Givers that I'm writing about right now is the fact that I think you have to consciously and deliberately put yourself in a place of proximity to other people's suffering. And I know that the church does get bagged on a lot, and I'm the first to say, hey, there are some things that could be addressed, you know, about the body of Christ. But you know, when the church is doing something right, or when there is a segment or a portion of the church that is doing something right, I want to feature that. I want to celebrate that. And I think one of the best examples of being in close proximity to people's daily suffering is Trinity Life Center, because this church is very well established. It's got deep roots in the heart of the city of Las Vegas. This used to be a really nice neighborhood, really posh, and now it's not. So I'm just wondering if you could talk about a little bit what your decision to stay, because you looked around, you looked toward the suburbs, but you didn't do that. So I wanted just to ask you about that and share with people why you decided to just stick it out and stay.
There was this man that came as a consultant one day, and he asked me, he says, what would you tell other pastors who are feeling that tug to stay and not cross the railroad tracks, just to stay in the heart of the city? And I immediately said, run as fast as you can. It's hard.
It's hard.
It's very difficult to make the transition, because you're right. This was, we say about our denomination, we were the big AG church in town. Now we're the old AG church downtown. And we had to change everything. And when we were losing our school, we had a K through 12. It was very successful. But the city was growing in around us, and so we did. We looked for property elsewhere. But I don't know, when you just get that sense that God has spoken, don't move. Like stay put. You're going to have so much ministry opportunity if you'll just stay there. That, when God spoke that. And this is interesting to me. When we were still kind of like the thing, God gave me a vision of having a medical clinic for people with no insurance.
Right.
I laughed. I was like, why? And how? And,
Right, how's this
and that
gonna
was
work?
the first thing that actually happened in what is now called the City Impact Center.
Right.
We opened up when we lost the school. We were like facility rich, and people
Right.
poor. But
Because you were so established.
Yeah.
The great thing about this property is the property. You
Yeah.
have some real estate.
yeah, we do.
Which is great.
And facility, and so we were trying to figure out, what are we going to do? But that was the first thing that came online, was the medical clinic for people with no insurance. The only way you can get in there is if you don't have insurance.
Right.
And the doctor says, people walk in, I heard this was free, is that right? And he says, nope. And the whole idea is you have to go pay it forward.
Oh, yes.
And then write him a letter about how you helped somebody else. And then you can be seen again by the doctor.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then my daughter, who had a vision, I guess, when she was 12 years old, at least I have the letter on my desk that she wrote to God. These kids in the inner city need a lot of help.
Is that Brandy?
Brandy, yeah, and they need
And
a
she
lot
was
of
12
hope.
when
Yeah,
she...
when she wrote the letter, would you please use me? And so then the Lord intersected our hearts and visions, because I'm sitting here seeing this medical clinic, and she's seeing these after-school kids
Right.
from the inner city, and we had that building, so she was going out like sidewalk Sunday school. Now she had a building, and she started bringing them in, and man, things just happened, and the community rallied behind us. And
Well, as an educator, and I have been a teacher in the public school system for many years, and I know that these after-school programs can be the difference, the defining factor that changes the entire trajectory of a child's life.
Yeah.
So I'm all about Miss Brandy.
Yeah, we had some really neat things happen. I'll tell you one quick story, just kind of a story of hope. This man was raised like one of these kids, but he ended up being the guy with the power of the pen over at one of the casinos. And he came through, and the day he came through, there were 5 kids. I think there were 4 girls and a boy, and they were all from his ethnic background. And he just started weeping because they were in the kitchen learning culinary skills after school, that he said, that's what got me out of poverty and into the position I'm in, that somebody took the time after school to deal with me.
Absolutely. You know what? Martin Luther King said that the 3 social ills on our planet: poverty, racism, and war. Poverty is bad. Poverty is bad. It is. If you want to liberate, educate. Education is the single most significant factor in changing someone's socioeconomic status. A person who is raised in poverty, or people who live in poverty, are 10 times more likely to be the victim of a crime
Wow.
than someone in the middle or upper class. It's a problem, and I know what to do
Yeah.
to change it.
Right.
I am, and I'm not trying to, say, hey, public school, because public school gets a bad rap.
Yeah.
And it just aggravates me so bad. Because I'm there in the trenches.
Yeah.
I'm there. I'm
You
right
are.
there. And I'm helping to, with a very capable cohort of people, people who are so sharp and so creative and so relentless in their pursuit of making this country better. We are helping with the infrastructure of this country.
Yeah.
We are helping to fight crime
Right.
by educating people. We are helping to build families
Yeah.
by educating people, to raise people in the status. And I'm not trying to, I'm not a material, preacher of what is that? Help me with the prosperity
Oh, yeah.
gospel. That's
Right.
not what I'm saying. I'm just
Right.
saying eat 3 times a day
Yeah.
and pay your bills and have a roof over your head. Just basic necessities, and because some people don't even have that. So Brandy and our doctor that comes in, and
Mm-hmm.
you and what you offer people in this sanctuary, you are also building the infrastructure,
Yeah.
supporting the infrastructure of America, and the kingdom of God,
Well,
which I know is kind of Christianese lingo,
Yeah.
but you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
and from that of course is our base. Everything we do is for Jesus. But the whole idea here for staying here was to revitalize this community, and it's a 20-year goal. And so, the after-school program, the medical clinic, we have a food bank, we have low-income senior housing, we have preschool, we have an urban garden.
I am all about the
Yeah.
urban garden.
But here's what I think you're really going to love the most is that when we lost the school, okay, we had this private Christian school, and very expensive to run, and when we lost it, we said in our board meeting, or I told the guys, someday we're going to have a school on this campus that these children around here can attend.
Can go to.
Yeah. And we have it. We have it.
That was our latest thing,
yeah,
right? Listen to me, because
Exactly.
I'm totally vested in this.
Totally.
I prayed
Yeah,
this one.
you did. And
I did.
It's a charter school, and so, it's glorified public. But, we're so excited because this school coming in just fits who we are and what we're doing. They take their remedial children and they keep them in the classroom.
Yeah.
And then they let the smarter students tutor them.
Well, we don't want to say smarter. There's a lot of,
I'm sorry. The ones that
there's
make the better grades?
There you go.
That's the ones.
The ones who can, I don't know, maybe they're just better at regurgitating information. We don't know.
My bad. Let's edit that.
But
Can we edit that part
we
right
can
there?
do that. No, but I think that there's a lot of solid research behind that. It's
Yeah.
heterogeneous grouping.
Yeah.
And you don't pigeonhole children into these,
Right.
I know. Everyone needs a place to shine.
Exactly.
And you don't want their identities,
Yeah,
to
it's-
become, pigeonholed into that, I'm not smart.
Right.
Or
That's true.
I'm not whatever. And I think that a lot of people in this community feel pigeonholed in poverty.
Yeah.
And
Poverty's a mentality.
Yeah, it
And
can be.
It
it's
has
a
to,
rough,
at least what we're dealing with, we're trying to see, like we have a pretty strong homeless population that gathers around. They're sort of in the shadows.
Right.
They come out, we feed them. The heroin seems to be the big deal around here, and strong addiction that we're see. Feeding them's one thing, and the whole deal of giving them a fish and teaching them how and that kind of thing. But, our goal here is if somebody really wants out of homelessness, the goal is that you just got to go down the line. Start with their warrants. Then give them some clothing
There's
and
some things to fix.
clean them up and start educating them and job training, and then get them to the job, filling out the application and going to the interview and teaching them how to do that and getting a job and then getting the goal. Oh, I'm going to scream when it happens when we take somebody who was homeless all the way to home ownership. That's one of our goals at the City Impact Center.
That is what I'm talking about. That is the perfect example of what I'm talking about with Hope Givers. Because you have to make a commitment to people. And it takes a long time, and it's really hard. I mean, you're sitting here talking about fighting poverty. You're not rolling in it. You are not rolling in the money in this building. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was like when I worked at KO, Sean Martin and I worked at KO Knutson, and that building is old.
Yeah.
But what we did inside of it was so revolutionary.
Wow. Yeah.
And things kind of did fall apart. You needed repairs, and so it's just moving your mentality from thinking, looking nice on the outside.
Yeah.
As opposed to being filled with something really substantial and life-giving on the inside.
Right.
So I think I love KO.
Yeah.
I loved working at KO. And you came to visit me at KO.
I know.
It's in the book. You have to read Juxtaposed. And we don't have time today to get all into that. But you came to my neck of the woods and saw my calling, if you will, and they loved you.
Oh, that was such a neat time.
They loved you.
Well, it was neat to see you in your environment.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah, those kids. They're awesome.
Yeah.
So, well, what else would you like to add, sir? Because in a minute, I'm gonna go. We're gonna go and see Vic.
Yeah.
And I used to babysit for Vic.
Yeah, I did.
Which,
I knew
let
that.
me tell you just what a blessing. Vic is, I just love that whole family, Vic and Sarah.
Uh-huh.
And I babysat for little Victor and Gina. Their younger ones, I was already out the door, I think, and then they had their other two boys.
Well, his youngest, Sammy, has been hired on by the charter school.
Oh, that's awesome. What's he doing over there?
He's working right there.
Do you know what he's doing?
I'm not exactly sure what his role is.
Yeah. But you know what I loved about them? Because Vic would come and get me and take me home, and I always saw him kiss his children goodbye.
Oh, yeah.
And Sarah kissing her children goodbye and saying goodbye.
Good Italian family.
Oh, yeah. And I always had this sense, these kids are really safe.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have that.
Right.
Like, this is a guy who's a Christian guy.
Yeah.
Who actually walks the walk, and his children aren't in any danger from him. And I should just tell him that. But he's just a big teddy bear. He's just going to...
Yeah. Well,
people
are about to meet him.
People are about to meet him. That's right. He's
there's
awesome.
only one Vic. And thank God.
Right. Yeah. So I just want to ask you what else.
There was a story that was on my heart that kind of fits, your background a little bit. This lady came our way recently, and this is the kind of stuff that happens here. This is how I know God is with us. She showed up and very shy and withdrawn, and it came out that she had some physical abuse. She had to get away from her husband and had to leave her children, and she's just her life is just devastated.
Yeah.
But she found a sanctuary, found a refuge here with us, and a safe place, and she started getting involved. Well, it came to our attention that one of the great needs she had was wheels. I mean, she really needed transportation if she was going to get on her feet. She was riding the bus, and so
that's independence.
Yeah, I mean, it was So anyway, one day, all the pastors here, we were having a prayer meeting, and Vic comes late to the meeting, and he's holding these keys in his hand, and someone had just donated us a car. Well, our pastor, whose department this gal has plugged into the most, he had a card and he was praying at the time. So we're all standing out in this courtyard. We're praying, and he's praying out loud. Lord, this lady's come to us. She needs a car. And Vic's holding the keys to a car that had just been donated. And I saw him walk up, and I went. And he walks over and he hands the keys to the pastor while he's praying. And he's like, the answer is like right there. And
That just makes me cry.
The car, and
Okay, I'm gonna cry my eyelashes off.
God does that kind of thing for us around here to consistently just, I think, let us know
why?
that we're doing the right thing.
You know why? Because you stayed.
Yeah.
You stayed. It really sucks a lot of times to just be in close proximity to people's pain.
Yeah.
And when I speak in different places, and sometimes I can sell books, afterwards or whatever, or if people can't afford it, I just give them. I'm not gonna charge somebody. I think, oh God, that's terrible. But I have to have somebody else kind of do that part for me, and my girlfriend Chelsea, who's one of the great loves of my life, Chelsea Lee, she was selling books for me, and I was off to the side, and I'm hugging people and signing books and talking to people and hearing their stories, and what I speak about is largely abuse. So, people are sharing very rough and very personal things for me. When I was here last October, I was out there, and there was a woman, I'm not going to venture an age. She was no spring chicken, I'm just going to say. Okay? She said to me, I have never said these words in my life. What I'm going to say, I've never told anybody. I've never told my husband, who's been dead for many years. I've never told my children. I was molested by my grandfather.
Oh.
And and this is what, believe me, I have sat with my head in my hands and just kind of overwhelmed and said, God, there's just so many, But my friend Chelsea, we were selling books. I spoke at a women's gathering at my own church, probably 100 women or so. And she said to me, on our way out to the car, she said, how do you do this? And I said, you're talking about when they pour their grief.
Yeah.
They pour their despair.
Yeah.
It just comes tumbling, rolling out of their mouth. She says, yeah, I'm writing people receipts and crying and hugging them and, say, go see her.
Yeah.
And she says, how do you do that? And I just say, you know what? I look at someone opening up for the first time about something like that, and I see walls coming down. That's what I see. So I'm channeling hope.
Yeah, right.
Despair is just not my emotion.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think I think that is what you have done. You have kept yourself in a place where people need Christ. They need his love. They need his compassion. And so you've just stuck it out in the inner city. You have no intentions of going anywhere. And you channel hope.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I'd like to reciprocate.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much for being a hope giver.
Well, you have...
That's what you do.
You have been a... and I don't know if you'll want to brag about this or not, knowing me and my mouth and, what I'll say anywhere. You have been very instrumental in my own spiritual formation. And I'm still
Hey, I don't know if I want to take any credit for all that.
No, I know. You might
I read your book.
Yeah, you might be writing a check you can't cash right there. So I love you, brother.
I'm kidding. Love you as well.
Tell my Pam I love her.
I will.
Oh, sorry I missed her.
You know, let me just say one last thing. You know,
Yeah.
there's a Jennifer Aniston documentary that came out called Room 10. And that's probably been even the best advice we give to married couples. Just stay in the room.
Just stay. Yeah.
You know, stay in the room.
Yeah.
Chris Christopherson, he's the actor, and this doctor's in there, and his wife's dying, and they're near their 50-year anniversary. How did you guys do it? Because she's had marital trouble. How'd you do it? And he tells stories of her throwing a frying pan and all. But the greatest thing was when he says, you know, we just stayed in the room.
Yeah.
And I think that is where hope really springs from. When people can see other people that are just willing to stick it out,
Yeah.
bloom where you're planted,
Yeah.
and make it happen.
Yeah. Well, you've
And
done
so
that.
that's what we're trying to do.
Appreciate
So,
you, brother.
Thanks,
I'm going
you
to send
too.
some people your way.
Do it.
Okay.
All right. We'll
All
take
right.
care of them
All right.
through God's help. God bless.